Hello and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. And happy fall everybody. Yesterday was the marking of the equinox, so I hope you all have a beautiful season ahead. And today's topic is called Sunny Sides of the Street. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening September 16th through the 19th, 2020. And before we jump into those, I'd like to say good day, osio, how, buongiorno, guten tag, kia ora, jambo, buenos dias, bonjour, ni hao, dzień dobry, konnichiwa, dobro dnia, annyeonghaseyo, boa tarde, dobry den, aloha winala, kalimera, and guten dag. And this little image of nature shot here, just to start us off, is a really good reminder that it is time for some fresh air. This is an air plant that was kind of cast aside after a rainstorm onto the ground from a tree. These things are pretty miraculous. I covered them in a previous show, toward the end of one of the shows, and they basically can grow anywhere at any time. They just need some fresh air and some light. That's really about it. They can grow on tops of rocks or on a tree, wherever. But anyway, beautiful reminder to breathe pure, fresh air. No more of this recycled carbon dioxide. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, let's get to the sky observations. All right, this was a sunset happening, and the title of this slide is just called Self-Illuminating Cloaking Objects, because I've been noticing recently, and especially if you have looked at any of my other previous shows, that there seem to be these, whether they're interdimensional or some kind of ethereal body, they pop up, and they either are encircled or encompassed by just like a glow, like their own whitish, white light source glow. And it might be, outlining the object, or it might be within clouds, kind of emanating out. But whatever the case, be on the lookout for these if you're doing sky watching on your own out there. Maybe you're already familiar with these, but they're kind of hard to miss. The light quality just becomes otherworldly, does not, fit in with the normal scheme of things in the sky. And you also have that little gut level feeling that something is taking place. So that being said, though, that's one type of thing going on in the scene. I'm going to focus in more on the A and the B's labeled here, though. We're going to go take a closer look with some enhancements done to the photo just to draw out the features a little more clearly. Enhancements simply mean edits and to the attributes of the photo, such as brightness, contrast, saturation, things of that nature. So let's have a look. All right, so here's that same photo below, but with some enhancements on it. We're going to look at A.1 first, so this little section over here. So I go up to A2, and I'm just trying to get a sense of, I'm zooming in. So when we go to the point ones, that's some enhancement, and when we go higher in number, it means we've probably either changed enhancements even further, or even zoomed in and enhanced, or a combination thereof. So A2, looking at the overall scene, looks like a little something's going on in here, maybe in here as well. Definitely something over here. So I went to a different color format just to try to look at things in a different way. Sometimes it helps the mind and the way it works and the way it looks at things. And already I'm starting to see this little shape pop out more than I did previously, like a truncated pyramid with some arms on it. And then I'm starting to see this feature much more clearly. So then we're going to zoom in on that and go to 8.4 and look at this. It does have a circular shape, or maybe a hexagonal shape. It looks like there's some type of sphere attached on top. So to me, that's looking very machine-like, machine parts, if you will, or something with intelligent design. Can't quite tell you what exactly is going on there, but I definitely see some very clear features popping up out of it. And now we're going to go over here to B1. Start to see this odd shape. So it doesn't look very typical cloud-like to me. It's enough to get me curious to want to zoom in and check it out a little bit further. So here we go up to B2. See kind of like a half shield, half moon type thing here, casting deep shadow. You also see another disc below it, casting shadow. So to me, this has some structure to it. Definitely looks like the edge of some type of craft poking out through either cloud or shadow. That's what I see. See what you think. All right, now we're going self-illuminating and interdimensional cloaking objects kind of continued. Just looking at this scene now. This one, there's some activity starting to develop here and here. We're also going to go into another photo that happens a few minutes later where things start to pop out in these areas even more. But have a look here too. This looks like a little trail with a triangular shape happening to it. And a future slide, a few minutes later, you're going to see that 2 pop up. It's very interesting. Here we have the quote-unquote ball of the sun in quotes going down there. And let's have a closer look at everything. Okay, so I've labeled this one. We've come in and enhanced that photo. So we see this, but really the items of interest this go round are going to be the A, B, and C. So I'm going to zoom in here and where I have 8.1 to 8.2. Definitely it's a triangular shape, no doubt about it. Also, I suspect something's happening in here as well, just because of the character of it. Then we're going to go to B1 up here. We're going to go now to B2. See if I can pull anything out. I do see a circle. There's some weirdness happening in here, but it's really not enough to really write home about. So we'll go over to C.1, and I can start to see something very interesting developing here, and also here. That does not look like a normal cloud of any kind. I think we can agree on that. But still, it just seems like, okay, there's some things brewing, but let's see if we can get better looks at things. So now, just a few moments later, few minutes, this starts to get more defined, as does this, as does this. So it's like these things just popped out of whatever phase they were in, started to phase more into our little reality here. But anyway, this looks like a horseshoe-shaped thing, and what's interesting to me is it looks like a trail. So a lot of these objects, these two, have a trail. So now that one triangle is busting out into a couple. We're going to zoom in on that too soon. But the thing is that I've been noticing a lot of these quote-unquote clouds or cloaking objects or interdimensional objects seem to be coming with their own trails now, which I find very interesting. Anyway, we get more of an object popping up here where that one circle was where we were looking before. Something more prominent shows up here too. Also looks like a little ring, half ring or horseshoe-like. And these things still look, pretty conspicuous, but as potential cloaking objects. But we're only going to look at a few with each of these photos, whatever just seems to jump out at me. So here we go. Here's some more enhancement on it. You can definitely see this trail effect that I'm talking about, kind of like a puttering, puffed out exhaust system on this thing. And we just see that some of this in a little more definition. We got very disturbed activity happening up here, which again always reminds me of an indicator of a cloaking craft or something going on, some type of perhaps electromagnetic wave activity happening up there to create this, as perhaps a craft is coming or going. Starting to make out some triangular form. There's other stuff going on here in the shadows. It's very questionable as to what is really going on here. Then we have this brighter blue-white light. That was even visible to the naked eye, whilst everything else in the direct neighborhood here is golden. So that kind of, is also a curiosity to watch out for. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's run through the numbers and the letters here. So 8.1, we'll go to 8.2. Just zoomed in with a little more contrast. Can pick out maybe a little bit of stuff, but again, nothing too extraordinary. So we'll go look at B1, and here we go to B2. Again, I see very much so a circular form in there, and some other form with structure to it starting to happen and emerge. And again, I see these tufted clouds around the outside. It's always my indicator of cloaking craft as well. That and the electromagnetic wave activity that always accompanies these things. And anyway, so then we'll go to C2, see if we can pull out anything more here. And, you get little bits and pieces here poking out that imply structure of something happening in there. So I am going to stick with that these are not only cloaking objects, but cloaking craft. Let's see what you think. All right, now actually I'm going to hop back a second, because here where I have D.1, we're going to look at that a little closer. So if you recall in the previous photos I was showing just one pyramidal form, which is over here, but it really starts off back at 7:13 p.m. We've got this weird streak, which is strange in its own right, the way it forks out like that. But here we start to see a bit of the triangular shape, but also a second something forming here. So we go, 2 minutes later, wow, voila, we have a more defined shape, which moved to the edge of this forked thing. And then we still have a little bit of a blur happening here. We have weird stuff also floating in the background, which becomes multiple, later on. Anyhow, we move along, and then boom, here emerges the second triangular form, also accompanying, this one with its own trail. And then we go to, D.5 here, and we start to definitely see more form in a way, and in a way it also seems to be maybe falling apart. So we're going to look at these also a little bit more closely. So here we go. I just zoomed in a little bit more, put a little more different contrast or colors on it to see if we can pull out what is this little object starting to pop out, and what is this thing. And here we go. Definitely has some mass to it. There's something happening in here too. So anyway, just another look at what could be going on there. And here they start to like dive in through cloud or plasma or whatever this material is. Okay, here's another view of a similar scene happening just a little bit later in the same area. So upper left-hand corner is the original photo, and look at this strange, really strange cloud and major quotes activity happening here. What is that? That is no type of cloud form that I've ever seen on this planet, being here for decades. Okay, and then I also start to see something strange here. This starts to have a regular pattern to it, where we have, some members coming here, and these little voids seem to echo and repeat. The overall shape seems to be more elliptical, so very interesting. So we come down here to it's going to be 8.1. This little element up here really, really jumped out at me. So I was trying to get at what this was, though, through some of the enhancements and filtering, but didn't really pull out much other than this looks like more solid, this material. Also, I see these bright whites. Sometimes they look like lights or crystalline structures, and sometimes they're just like white points. It always grabs my attention where we have bright white when we've got a sea of golden light. It's very telling that this is happening specific to whatever is going on in here. And anyway, we'll go to A1 though, because that's what started to emerge as something very telling. We go up here and we can just see, the beginnings of like some craters or depressions, some cylindrical depressions here as well. These tips here, if you go back down here, it looks like a part of something bigger. So these could be arms projecting out, or it's just some other triangular shape underlaying this thing, who knows? Something for you to ponder at. And as always, if you have any good ideas of what could be going on or just fun creative ones, let me know in the comments section below. And so we'll go over to A3 just to, again, change some little enhancements here to see if we can see it any better. And I definitely see crater-like activity. This overall shape looks like an elongated diamond as well. A lot of interesting things happening there. So take a look longer on your own, see if you see anything interesting. Okay, here is zooming in more on that strange cloud activity, okay, and the big quotes, cloud and quotes. So I've got A, B, and C as the elements to let's take a look at in this photo. So we're going to go down to A.1, B1, C1, you get the idea. So A1, look at this. These are two rings, very defined outer rings, semicircles. There's other structure happening here beyond as well. Then we go to B1, and there's just some strange activity happening beyond, and this kind of structure here. And then C1, we'll get to a better view of it next, but looks like a sphere, looks like a ball, a white ball of some type. So we'll go to A2, here are those rings. I think that's extremely clear. Okay, now are those, the tail end of a ship or a craft? And we're just looking like at the jet propulsion system or the afterburners or whatever, who knows? Is that fresh air intake or exhaust ports? Who knows? Or windows? Can't tell you, but have a look and see what you think. Also over here, we start to see a shape and that with that crystalline light, and there seems to be, real structure here with triangles, things jutting out. Seems to be something here beyond with shadow to it, but can't really make out this one, so we'll move to C, and over here at C2 you can start to see that sphere shape a little bit better. See the ball with something kind of happening on the top. So anyway, as always with all of these things, I'm just calling this interdimensional cloaking objects. See what you think you're seeing here. Alright, now this one's fun. This is called sun, in quotes, plus object. So this is the sunset that belongs to those previous photos. What's very telling is this bulge happening. Actually, what's very telling even before that is that I could even see the appearance of a ball of any type related to the sun, because normally this is just totally covered in some type of veiling cloud material, plasma material, who knows what. But usually there's never a pure view of this ball as I'm seeing it here. And if you've watched my show previously, I like to include the sunset sequences, and you can see that I rarely, if ever, catch a full ball. Now what's interesting is this little guy or girl has an outcropping here. So that looks very unusual to me. So we go up here and do the contrast, run some different things on it, and there's clearly a bulge happening. Okay, when I go over here to outline it for a little more clarity, I put the circle, where I'm seeing the definite circles start to form, and sure enough, this is a piece left over. So I'm just calling it suns, in quotes. Is this, and I cover this ad nauseum in other shows, so is this another planetary body? Is it another solar type of body? Does it generate its own light, or is it just reflecting? Does it orbit around the sun? There are a lot of things here to look at, not only my shows, but plenty of other Earth and Sky watching shows happening in around the world. You'll see a lot of direct observation evidence happening. It's undeniable there's something going on. So anyway, I say here, tongue-in-cheek, but wait, there's more. So what could possibly be more? Well, you're going to find out. So the right photo is a zoomed in of the original now, a slightly different original happening at a slightly different time. But look at this. I rarely, if ever, get these violet type lens flares. I've had them, I've caught them, maybe just only on a couple of occasions. I've included them in shows where I can, but it's a very rare. So the upper left is the original photo without any enhancement here. And, at a more of a distance, you can still see the lens flares. And also we got all kinds of strange activity happening here. The self-illumination stuff happening, different cloud activity, all kinds of different clouds happening in the same area. What's going on? But anyway, back to our little photo here. So when I see these, it's very rare. And in this particular case, I got a little glimpse at something I don't normally get. When I'm looking at this suns, and I do talk about the main sun that we're seeing, the bright, glaring, bright white one, being an artificial sun or tech up there that's lensing out or making the original sun look different. There's so many different possibilities to that. Do check that out. But anyway, if this is some type of solar simulator or solar simulator assembly happening to change the way we perceive the sun and the way the sun behaves, in addition to its looking bright and glaring, it's also putting off a very different kind of heat. It's very penetrating heat. And anyway, that's a whole other story we'll get to in another time. But whatever the case, if you follow light physics, and I already kind of see this bending, and you see like what I want to say, there's a crescent here. So if I track with this, it seems to be pointing this way, not up at this even second. I have it as letter Y over here thing. It looks to me like this is tracking with a warmer light source happening here, a warmer tone. So I'm throwing this one as a Z question mark. I do believe there's even yet another type of light source. Again, if it's in front or orbiting around this thing. I have seen with the naked eye 2 different other light sources, whether they're generating their own light or reflecting light. They're in the neighborhood of the sun, and I've seen that with the naked eye, and I have that in another show. But anyway, as I always say, I'm going to say it again, if you're not already, please go outside, look all around you, 360 in the environment around you, and look up, and just even if you do it for 2 to 5 minutes a day, you'll start to notice some very interesting things guaranteed. So please do that if you're not doing it already. All right, now this is called What is Going On Here, West Horizon. So the upper left is the original photo. Look at this. Look at this brighter, semicircle, full of golden light. And then we have some strange, darker blanket cloud activity happening here, gray. And then we have this shape kind of bent out like this. And then we have this darker stuff starting to emerge. Look at the lower photo. It's an enhancement to kind of draw out stuff further. So look at this. We've got this bright, intense orange light, almost looks semispherical also. And then we've got this bright, whiter golden light, and then we get reds and pinks happening in here, maybe busting out from beyond, who knows. And then we've got this dark thing emerging, this strange activity. It's almost dreamlike, very ethereal. And so to me, this shadow is representing some type of craft happening beyond, or maybe emerging on a different dimension. So hard to say, but definitely easy to say. This is nothing that we have witnessed in decades of being on the planet. Anybody who's, say, 30 or older, knows this. Anyway, let's move along. All right, so what is this cloud mess at the west horizon? I use cloud mess in quotes just as like a little tongue-in-cheek. It's not a mess, but it is weird. I will tell you that. Very strange. So the upper left is the original photo. And just look at this. It's a kind of fan-shaped, but yet there's like holes in it, and there's stuff that starts to look interdimensional. It's stuff that looks like there is some electromagnetic or other wave activity happening, or there's something sitting there that is a cloaking material or a cloaking veil. It's all very possible. Now, look at this enhancement here. So there's red here. There's some golden warm tone here. So how do we get these little weird red things jutting out like this, along kind of the horizontal on an angle? It's just very bizarre. Then we have this thing, it looks like a triangular structure up in there. So there's just a whole lot of unexplained like question marks going on over here. And again, when you look to the west horizon, that's nothing typical. That's no cloud form that you could ever say is a typical cloud form. So anyway, I go ahead and enhance everything further just to, brighten it up and see. And look, we kind of have like a submarine shape here. This all could be potential cloaking craft. But what's really starting to bother me is, what is this streak? So let's go have a look. This isn't just the effect of light bleeding through a cloud. It looks like an object in and of itself that has color to it. So let's investigate further. And we are here now at Cloaking Objects at sunset. So I'm taking that streak piece, and here's the original photo over here where I'm circling my cursor. So I've got, see like some key elements emerging on that thing. So we've got A, B, and C. A.1, it looks like something with structure happening, at the end. B1, this definitely looks like some intelligent design or structured thing happening, more beyond just a cloud forming. And then C1, these kind of crystalline structures that I've referred to in other shows. I've called them, they're either cloud makers or light generators. There's something to those, and I do cover it in detail in another show if you want to have a look there. But anyway, we'll hop up from A1 to A2, and just look at this. It's, to me, look at these little things coming off in a very regular pattern. This thing seems to really have structure to it in shadow. We go to B2. This looks like this all could be one thing, part of one thing. Look at that. It has kind of like rib activity to it, again, with shadow. And then we go to C, and up here, you can just see, again, how is it that when everything is warm-toned, this busts out as like a bright white light to it, and that looks like a little piece there, a little triangular piece with depth to it. So anyway, see what you think. But even in the original photo, you can tell that's like really bright white. Anyhow, we'll move along. Okay, here's the side-by-side. Left is the original, right is with some enhancements. So area A just looked strange, this whole thing. So this caught my attention, since when does a cloud do this? It's like an umbilical cord attaching one to the other. Then we've got this straight line happening amidst some of this other weird stuff, choppy pieced up stuff. Then we have this happening, which is starting to become like a pointed elliptical form or eye form. And again, the weird thing is that this brighter white light seems to be, radiating out from this cloud on its own, like a self-illumination. We even have a roundish element here. We have a weird streak of something heading in or out of this thing. So we're going to go look at it with some enhancements over here to the right. So again, look at this. It definitely has some structure in there, and it has some kind of light sources seem to be shining out with this thing, having a trail of smoke or plasma, bam, heading in or out of there. And again, you can just see this in more detail, and this as well. How are these clouds on angle while they're straight? That makes no sense. So let's look at this further. Okay, I'm taking that upper element is the A and the lower element is the B. So trying to get at what is going on. Again, I see like a ring shape here. I really see now a tube shape or cylinder like popping out. Looks like something is flying out or flying into it. I think out though, because it's kind of going out this way. Is that an exhaust pipe? Who knows? And down here, again, since when does a cloud take a hard bend like this and up, right? Never, I think, is the answer. And again, this weird thing on an angle, so I think that is completely Cloaking Craft or some other object. As we morph later to 3 and 4, you see it just kind of disintegrate and then, detach, just very odd. Back up to the upper left-hand photo. I'm going to zoom in over here because it was just very interesting. And again, you see a clear circle or an ellipse. Looks like it's attached to like a pipe. It's like an end of a pipe, and something coming in or out of it. So see what you think. I just thought it was far too intriguing to not share. All right, now we're going to get to some more generic, compared to all of that, photos. And I'm going to kind of fly through these just to keep the show a little shorter running time today. But you'll get the idea. So here we just have some pink sky and beams at the east horizon. And again, what's odd about this is that it's at sunset at the completely diametrically opposed, horizon from where the sun should be setting. We've got this really warm, intense color happening. And in this case, sometimes I had a previous show called Pink Sky Flashlight, where it's this that's, just one like cone emanating out of pink and the rest of the sky is blue. But in this case, it's the void. So it's like the blue beam shining out with pink sky to each side. But anyway, it was just really strange. So what is causing this? There's got to be some red source at the east horizon at sunset. This is not coming from the west horizon, because when you look at the other way at the same time, it was all clouded over. And based on the shape of the light and how light physics work, this is definitely happening from beyond in the horizon. So it means that there's some pink source and that there's some object blocking the pink source from shining. Anyway, see what you think is going on, and see if you notice this in the area wherever you live. All right, this is just called Peach Pink Sky at South Horizon and Void Curve. So this is, again, at the south horizon at sunset hours. Something is generating this light to the south as well. And I just noticed this thing kind of is curving around. I'm not sure what this is, if it's some kind of wisp activity or something cloaking. The upper left just shows higher contrast to pull out some elements. Some weird little things happening in here, so we're going to look at it in this too. Looks like a little interdimensional thing showing up, but we're going to take a little bit closer look. And I couldn't really get to too much on this thing, but this thing starts to look interesting, so we're going up here, taking a look in a slightly different format to see what that could be. That's no cloud that I know. If you know of a cloud that does that, let me know the name of it in the section below and where you've seen it. All right, this is just this was kind of striking because there was just this one cloud, and I mean main cloud. They're like trace puffs of something, but in an entirety of a blue sky, this was the only thing, and it was really, really low, and it has this very straight edge at the bottom. So it just screamed out, "What the heck is going on? Pay attention to me." So we're going up in the upper right-hand corner just to kind of get at a little bit more. What comes out is that it's more like of a square shape. It's very interesting. And then I decided to look in at this, see if it was something interdimensional happening. And we've got two like regular holes divided by something. So is it something or not? I don't know on that one, but I thought it would be interesting to capture anyway, and it was worth the effort just to see. All right, now this is two, I'm calling it Cloaking Craft Pair. Just again, these two were like the only oddities, you know, they looked well developed and individualized, and they were just sailing across the sky. This could be a little something too with the trail behind it, and this could be a little bit of a faded triangular form behind it as well, I'm seeing now. But anyway, we're going to focus on A and B and see if we can see anything more. And so the lower right-hand corner is the original photo. The overall assembly is A. But look at, I already see like a circular thing happening here. There's some weird things happening over here. So we're going to go up one, and with some contrast, I see a very dark speck here and here, which shows me there's some kind of structure or cloaking in there. Again, this is popping out as a feature. This is a bright white light in the middle of darkness, so it's also catching my attention. This is triangular shaped, and there's something happening back here. So let's hop over to the left. Look at that thing. That's this opening over here. Yes, it is. Looks more square than circular, but even so, looks like something's happening. Now, what is that thing? Is it exhaust? Is it a camera, a sensor, weaponry? I don't know, but see what you think. It's interesting no matter what. And then look here at the back end. You know, we got a little bit of a darker object back in here, a little thing popping up here. What is this, like if we blew all that smoke or plasma or whatever that cloaking covering is away, what would we see? That's the question of the millennia. I would love to know. And maybe we will know. Maybe this is all part of soft disclosure. We'll see. Okay, now here's that other pair, the other cloud of the pair of clouds. So the bottom, again, are the original two photos. We're just going to look at C. What did I do here? Sorry. We have C and B, but really it's just because it's a similar photo taken at a slightly different time. So here I have three distinct points that look like light sources, and here they look a little more blurred out, so that's why there's a C and B at the same cloud form. So let's move up. Okay, I couldn't really pull much more when I went up to B1 and B2, but it does look weird, whatever's happening here. And then with C1, you can just see these three distinct points. Again, they look like light, you know, like this thing is coming with its own flashlights. There's three distinct points. There is a sunlight source happening down to the lower right on this photo, but it wouldn't just create three distinct points like this. So see what you think is going on there. All right, that's I'm going to go over very quickly. It's just odd cloud forms blocking sunset sequence. It, you know, kind of is self-explanatory. But just noting that, you know, most of the time when we're looking at the sunset, you know, just these clouds start doing really weird things. Like look at this thing arching up in a semicircle. You know, really desperately doing its thing to block out, you know, our ability to see the sun at sunset routinely. And look how level, look how straight that thing is. You could like put a ruler up next to it. It's dead even and level, and that's just not a normal cloud behavior. Anyway, slice it. Anyway, I moved translating downward tracks with each photo. I just put it in blue so that you can maybe look at things in a different way, and look at that, this starts to swoop up like that and bend up like that. That's not a normal cloud behavior. Anyway, see what you think. All right, well, I'm going to close now for the day, and with these two pictures of the week. And it's just noting that in the sun, the temperature inside of the car was 100, and in the shade it was 97. So in my area, I don't know if you're noticing it where you are, strange temperatures are changing all over the place. It is intensely hot for this time of year, and much hotter than in previous years. So just noting the changes. Anyway, I wish you all a beautiful whatever's remaining of this week ahead, and hope to check back in with you soon. And in the meantime, I wish you tremendous peace and joy, happiness, whatever you need at the moment. A big hug, whatever it is. So take care, everyone. Lavender Sky Panther. Bye.